Welcome to Random Gaming Talk. It's Entertainment Talks podcast for video games. I'm your host Matthew, and this week I'm doing a solo episode. If you remember from last week, Robert is in the process of moving this week and setting up his internet and stuff and things like that. So he's not able to be with us this week, but I'm sure he'll be back next week, and we will be back to normal. Not done a solo gaming episode in quite some time, actually. It's been at least a couple of years. I remember when I was in between co-hosts and things like that, and at that time I decided to just continue the show on my own because I still wanted to do it and I still wanted to talk about video games, just like I'm going to be doing here today. So yeah, solo episode. I'm sure I will be perfectly fine because I've done tons of episodes solo myself before as well, but not gaming necessarily, although I've done a couple of them before solo in the past, but it's just been a long time. But anyway, moving on to what I'm playing, because of course I can't ask Robert because he's not here, but on to what I've been playing as of recently, tying into why this episode is being released on Thursday. Had some family visit for a little while. My sister, niece and nephew came around, and you can imagine the two games that popped up, young children. Fortnite and Minecraft. I didn't get myself involved in any Minecraft stuff particularly. My nephew is the one that was playing Minecraft on his tablet, and then basically we ended up with me on the PlayStation on Fortnite. I did actually download it on Xbox, but it required me to use Games with Gold, which I'd forgotten about because it's been at least a couple of years since I've even gone on to Fortnite. Of course, those of you that know, my regular multiplayer game is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so I've had no reason to be on Fortnite, but downloaded that on PlayStation. I'm not sure if you do need PlayStation Plus, but I do have it anyway, so it didn't matter. Then my sister had her Switch, and I had my Switch. My nephew used my Switch. And then every now and then when my sister wasn't playing, my niece used her Switch. So it was basically either the kids and or my sister on the two Switches, and I was on PlayStation. And we played a few matches together. It was really, really good. We did the creative thing, which is where you can just put unlimited great weapons and stuff, like all the gold and purple weapons and everything, and we had snipers and all this other fun stuff. It was really, really fun, really, really cool. Really enjoyed that. I have said to them that I'm gonna be moving my Fortnite stuff over to Switch because I haven't got a lot of space on PlayStation. So I'm gonna be in the future, when I do play Fortnite, which will only be with them. Then I'm going to move that stuff over to the Switch, which I think means I need to sign out of my Switch profile on Fortnite, and then because I want to use the profile I've used on my PS4, which is actually a different account, but I'll figure that out when the time comes. But no, that was pretty fun. That was pretty good. They like Fortnite a lot and Minecraft a lot. My niece doesn't play Minecraft, but my nephew does. He's got it on his tablet. He's pretty good at it, actually. He showed me a couple of bits and pieces on it. He had this kind of Aquaman style trident thing, and he was going underwater with it and showing me some stuff, so that was pretty good and all that. And he'd asked me if I played Minecraft and that. I have played Minecraft before, just to out of curiosity to see what this massive game is all about, but it's never something I've dipped into seriously. Dipped into too seriously, sorry. Yeah, I played it for about half an hour just to see what it was even like. I had seen the game before, but I just wanted to sort of dip my toe in. That was a few years ago at least, so yeah, but that was nice of him to kind of show me that and stuff. So we all bonded over some games and things like that. So that was pretty good. Did get some time to put, I want to say, about 5 hours of Ghost of Tsushima in. It's starting to pick up quite a bit. I'm into the second act. I've done 4 of the tasks within Act 2. I'm not sure how much I've got left of it, but I did just hit quite a big story beat, which I'm not going to get into because of spoilers and stuff, but that was pretty big. That was pretty good and everything. Came across these kind of new, well, sort of new villains. I don't want to get into like who they are or whatever because of spoilers as well, but they were particularly challenging. So yeah, I used a couple of my upgrade points, got some new stuff and that. And that's been pretty good. Ghost of Tsushima is one of them games where when I go on it and I start making progress and I feel good about it and feel like the game's picking up a good amount of pace, I say to myself like, alright, I'm going to stick a couple of more hours in and really get some stuff done. And then something always seems to maybe either come up or I get distracted or something like that. So I seem to kind of put in a few hours at a time, but I've not had like a really big session with it kind of thing yet. But I'm slowly getting there through it. I think I must be almost done with Act 2 maybe, because I've just hit quite a big story beat, and I am kind of getting to the point a little bit of thinking like, okay, how much of this story is actually left? Because I've played this game probably 12-15 hours at least, I want to say at this point. Could be slightly wrong about that, but that's about how long it feels like I've been playing it. Yeah, that's been quite good and everything. But I sort of wonder, because newer parts of the story have kind of opened up. It like recently from the parts that I've played and that, so new things have kind of opened up to where I can see kind of where the story wants to go, and that it's just going to depend on how it actually goes. But it's still been good. It's still been enjoyable. Again, I'm not seeing this like game of the generation type of thing. Or if you were to ask me, like, I mean, at some point, me and Robert will have to have a game of generation discussion once everything is out. If we still got Cyberpunk, Assassin's Creed, all these other kind of games to come out. Cyberpunk being the big one, of course. But at the moment, I probably wouldn't put it in like the top 20 of games of the generation. I don't think it's a bad game, and I don't think it's an excellent one. I think it's a very good game, and it's sort of trying to do certain things to become excellent. But to me, it's just not quite reaching there. There's just a few issues I'm seeing in the game to where, like, okay, you could clean up bits and pieces here and there. I remember last week I talked about the combat stuff. That's still a bit of an issue. I've tried to sort of play it a little bit differently. It's just not quite there. But it's a good game. It is a good game. It's just not an excellent game. And I'm kind of thinking at the moment, I'm going to come to an ultimate conclusion when I get to my review, because I will be reviewing the game still, of a skip or don't skip rating. I'm quite torn on it at the moment, but I've still got, a whole act to play of the game, and maybe that will sway my opinion one way or the other. But whenever I see this kind of like game of the generation discussion, or like one of the games of the generation, I'm just not seeing that kind of level of quality here, which it is what it is. So, but nonetheless, I am enjoying it. I'm still playing it, so that's pretty good. I've played a little bit of Call of Duty myself. That's been pretty good and everything. Not much new to update there. We do have some big Call of Duty news in the news section once we get there in a bit, but not too much new to really update with that. I haven't been on the new farm map yet. Some players have said that they don't think it's a cyber attack map. I'm not sure how to actually check that, because of course every time you search for a cyber attack, it doesn't give you a choice of a map. It just throws you into a game. But because some people were saying like, oh, it's too small and stuff like that. Look, if you can play cyber attack on Rust, not Shipment, obviously that would be a little bit too, that would be going a bit too far. But I wonder, because I haven't actually been on the farm map yet, so I don't know how big it is, but if you can play cyber attack on Rust, I don't know. I don't know how big this farm map is. I have been on the other two, the oil rig and the dock thing as well. I can't remember the name of the other map, but it is called oil rig, one of them. It's got a few problems, the oil rig map. Mainly there's just so many little corridors, and there's a lot of doors, and yeah, there is these parts of the oil rig map that are a lot bigger, and then there's just these there's like 3 or 4. I don't know how many levels there is even in the game. Like 2, 3 or 4 levels in the game. There must be about 3, because there's like an underneath part. There's the top of it. There's a couple of middle sections, and then there's ladders and doors and corridors, and there's been a few times where, because I was on it yesterday, on that map yesterday, and found like a new section of the map. I was like, oh, I've not even been to this part of it, and didn't know where I was. Or the thing is with that is some players have probably been on that map more than me. and they probably know. I mean, eventually I'll get used to the map. It's just quite big. It's sort of like if you take Arkloth Peak, make it slightly smaller, but have more levels to it. It's sort of a bit like that. But again, it's just a case of like, once I've been on it probably a few more times and gone through the areas a bit more, maybe I'll sort of get a bit more used to it. It's a good map. It's just very... There's a lot of it, and there's just a lot of corridors, and like, you know, people like to use shotguns and stuff, and you can just... Yeah, anyway. So, that's pretty much my Call of Duty update. In terms of other stuff I've been playing, yeah, that's been pretty much it. I did get my Iron Man VR delivered through Boomerang, so that was pretty good. So at the moment, I've got quite a lot of stuff to play. I've got the rest of Ghost of Tsushima, Call of Duty's ongoing, of course, FIFA Career Mode with Dad. We're in the 2030 to 31 season now. I've got Last of Us 2 New Game Plus and the other, you know, the new stuff that they just added. Grounded and Infinite Crafting and all that sort of fun stuff, but I've still got more than half of the New Game Plus to do, and then of course I want to platinum that game, or at least try to. I still haven't had a chance to look at how the new modes affect the platinum and stuff, but I'll look into that soon. I'm guessing I don't have to do the permadeath thing, because that's kind of insane if I do, but I'll look into that anyway. And then I've got Iron Man VR, which is I'm gonna guess that Iron Man VR is gonna be about a 6 to 8 hour game roughly. So I was kind of thinking to myself, like, because I want to finish one of these games, if I like put Ghost of Tsushima on the side for a bit and just work my way through Iron Man, but then I'm just kind of delaying things even more. I don't know, so I'll work it out in the end. But that's pretty much everything I've been playing, I think. So yeah, let's move into a little bit of housekeeping. See you for that in a minute.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Donnie, and I host the Adulting with Donnie podcast. And this is not the show to listen to if you're trying to be a better adult. I started this podcast as a way to offload some thoughts that I have throughout the week. My topics vary widely every week. Movies I've seen, guns and gun control, sex, people that are stupid, why I don't care about celebrity opinions, TV shows, snowmobiling. The list goes on and on. I'm always taking topic suggestions from fans of the show too. So join me each week on Adulting with Donnie as I pour some bourbon and allow you to see the inner workings of the mind of a madman. Live free and rant hard.
I'm Christy.
And I'm Jackie.
And we are Killer Fun. We explore the intersection of crime and entertainment every other week.
For as long as people have been communicating, they have been talking about who did what to whom, and is that socially acceptable?
Because the boundaries of society,
crime,
and entertainment have always gone hand in hand.
The more salacious,
or weird,
the better. From books and movies
to television shows and games,
we look at how life and art imitate and inform one another.
And we can't get together and not laugh. So let's face it, there's going to be laughing.
Killer Fun is available anywhere you listen to podcasts, so join us.
Today's sponsor is Kualu. If you'd like to get started with a domain name and a website today, just click on the link in the show notes and that will take you over to Kualu to get started. They also have a live support chat system that you can use, which is in the bottom right hand corner. So get started with a new website and domain name today with Kualu. Hey everybody, if you would like to get the ad-free versions of all of our podcasts and support Entertainment Talk along the way, all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/entertainment talk. Sign up either as a creator or as a Patreon. There's no difference there. That's just the option for either becoming a creator now or just staying as a patron for the moment. And then all you need to do is support us at the $1 level tier. That will get you access to all of the ad-free podcasts that we've done in the past, and get you access to all the ad-free podcasts in that month as well. So it's a great way to support us on Entertainment Talk and to get rid of the ads and get your ad-free podcasts. You can also become a patron at the $3 level tier. That gets you access to ad-free podcasts and allows you to redeem a review of a TV show or a film of entirely your choice. That's one per month for either a TV show or a film review, which is at the $3 level tier. As always, thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. Alright, so recently on Entertainment Talk, if the website wants to load, there we go. Did a new United Cast episode today. We lost 2-1 to Sevilla in the semi-final of the Europa League. It's the third semi-final we've lost this season. Very unfortunate. Terrible defensive display, hence, the 2 goals that we let in. But that is now the end of the season. There is new fixtures that have been released today. I went through some of them, not every single one, but the first and the last couple of ones for next season, the 20 to 21 season. Talked a little bit about transfers and just some other bits and pieces as well. So that's the last United cast, the last Man United podcast, sorry, for a little bit. The season doesn't start until the middle of September. But if there's any transfers and stuff, I'll do a podcast in between them, maybe. Classic Reviews is now all wrapped up with the Season 4 rankings for the Jim Carrey dedicated season. There will be one more thing next week related to Jim Carrey, and then the week after that, which will be the 2nd of September for the Wednesday, there will be a special surprise revealed. I'm not going to say anything about it, what it is. You'll just have to wait until midday on the 2nd of September, so look out for that. Marvel's beta impressions, did the little segment from that. That's cut out from the gaming podcast from last week. Season 4 episode 10, me, myself and Irene for the Jim Carrey Classic Review season. Random Gaming Talk last week, the Cyberpunk 2077 event. Last was part 2, talking about all the new updates and things like that, so we talked about that and a whole bunch more. Walking Dead podcast announcements, talking about Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, Walking Dead World Beyond, and the Walking Dead season finale episode, and some updates for all that sort of stuff. Don't skip Umbrella Academy Season 2, which is available to watch on Netflix. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, but I would recommend that you don't skip the 2nd season of the Umbrella Academy on Netflix. And that's pretty much everything we've been doing on entertainmenttalk.org and on podcast platforms. Let's get into some news. Alright, so we finally have a confirmation about the, speaking of Call of Duty, the next Call of Duty game, which is indeed going to be called Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Bit of a long title, little bit of a long title. So as a Call of Duty person, how do I feel about this? I don't want this game necessarily, and all I have to do is not buy it, which I'm going to do. I'm not going to buy it. I really like my Modern Warfare stuff. Sure, I have some complaints about the games here and there. We all have some complaints about all the games that we play. But all we have is a reveal logo sort of thing. They just kind of put it out there. There's going to be a reveal on the Warzone next week. Why not just put out a trailer? But anyway, that's going to be revealed. I think the date was the 26th of August for that. So yeah, we now know what the next Call of Duty is going to be called. I'm just not interested in either Black Ops or the Cold War stuff. The whole reason I got back into Modern Warfare in the or back into Call of Duty in the first place was because it went back to Modern Warfare, and I just prefer, you know, boots on the ground, grounded warfare, modern day warfare, kind of shooting. None of this sort of like, I don't know, World War stuff or none of this futuristic stuff. I very specifically want it to be Modern Warfare stuff. But yeah, all I have to do, like I said, is not buy the game. I'm going to continue to play Modern Warfare for as long as I can. I have spoken to, I remember I've talked about this before, I've spoken to a couple of friends that I play Call of Duty with, and most of them have said that they're going to be sticking to Modern Warfare. I'm going to guess that they're going to do the... I'm not quite sure how that will work with PS5 because I am planning on getting one, but I'm planning on keeping my PS4 for at least a little while. So either it will be a case of I'm switching between the two, or maybe it will be playable on PS5. I don't know, but for the moment, at least from the players I've people that I play with, most of them have said that they're going to be playing Modern Warfare. Some of them have said that they are going to be moving over to the Cold War game. I'm not quite sure what to do about that. I don't really want to leave anybody behind, but I play with a lot of different groups of people, and some of them have said that they're going to stay. Some of them said that they're going to do the move over to the Cold War stuff. I think it will depend as well on how many more season updates we get for Modern Warfare as well. So we'll see how it all works out. But at the moment, all we know is, you know, a title screen and the name. We don't know anything else about it. We don't know how it works with crossplay or how Modern Warfare is going to work with crossplay. I think they've said before that your Warzone progress is going to carry over to Cold War. Multiplayer progress probably won't do that because it will be, entirely different weapons and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see how it works out, but I'm guessing they're probably going to have Warzone in Black Ops Cold War as well. Given that the progress is going to carry over, it's fairly self-explanatory. But yeah, we'll see how it all works out. We haven't seen a trailer for it. I just know that this is one of them situations where I don't need to see it to make a decision. I know that sort of time period or whatever, I'm just not really interested in fighting in that particular war period. So that's that. Let's move on to Last of Us 2 sales. We've got a screenshot that I've taken here from Twitter. This is from Shinobi602 on Twitter. He's quite a popular guy on there. So this is Last of Us 2 sales news, or not news particularly, but not numbers specifically, but just some statistics. I would like to hear some numbers and things, because they did say that there was a 80% drop off in, I think it was the second week or the third week, I can't quite remember, but it did start off really, really well. In less than 2 months since release, dollar sales of Last of Us Part 2 are now the third highest of any Sony published game in history, just behind 2018's Spider-Man and God of War. They were both released in 2018, so the third highest. I think I read that the fourth highest is Ghost of Tsushima. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think that's what I remember hearing. But yeah, it's interesting. It went a little bit quiet on sales. It was the 80% drop-off that we had heard about, and a lot of people started saying, is Naughty Dog in trouble? Is this going to be financially bad for them and for Sony? Are we going to see, some people were being a little bit dramatic, saying, is Naughty Dog going to get shut down or something? I don't think that was going to quite happen. But yeah, third highest sale in the history of dollars. Sales of Sony's history. So I think Naughty Dog will be perfectly fine. Like I said, very much looking forward to what they do next. I'm not specifically looking forward to Factions, but I am going to at least try it out. It depends how they release it. Can I rent it and try it out? Do I have to buy it? Is it going to be a separate game? Is it going to be an add-on for Last of Us 2? We shall wait and see, but no, Naughty Dog are going to be perfectly fine, and we'll see how this continues to go, because of course people are still buying the game and whatnot. So yeah, petitions and angry reactions from the game aside, did very, very well. I still love this game, of course. I'm surprisingly looking forward to getting back to my New Game Plus for Last of Us Part 2, because I was enjoying it just as much. And of course, like I said before, I was taking a little bit more time with the game. I was actually trying to look for all the trading cards and the weapon upgrades and things like that. So yeah, good stuff from Last of Us Part 2. Congratulations, Naughty Dog. Thank you for making a game that I care about a lot and I really loved, and can't wait to see what you do next. Whether it's a new IP, or you return to Uncharted, or it's Last of Us 3, or you return to Jak and Daxter, or whatever it's going to be, I will have my eyes on it, to say the least. So that's some sales news for Last of Us Part 2. Moving on to some silly stuff. Where is the information I have here? For FIFA 21. FIFA 21, which is the upcoming sports game. I don't think I needed to explain that, but never mind. FIFA 21 will not feature cross-play between current gen or next gen players. However, those who upgrade will be able to carry their Ultimate Team progress over. Funny, isn't it? You mentioned that the Ultimate Team progress, the mode that people spend money on, will get carried over. So what this tells me is that if I buy FIFA 21 for my PS4 and start a career mode, I'm not going to be able to carry that over. I'm assuming this is to do with because it says about those who upgrade. So basically, if you buy FIFA 21 on either Xbox, because this doesn't say PlayStation or Xbox specifically, it does say next gen platforms. If you buy obviously FIFA 21 on Xbox or on PS4, it will upgrade for free on Series X or PS5, depending on where you bought it. But Yes, funny that the progress you make for the mode that you spend money on, you don't have to spend money on, but it's heavily implied that you should. Um, the progress for that will carry over, but not your save data. Simple little save file for career mode. Now they could announce later that career mode stuff, which would make it wouldn't really make sense if it didn't carry over your career mode stuff. It's a save file, because I'm imagining with what's another example of a game? Let's say, I think Cyberpunk is going to use this, isn't it? I'm going to assume that with Cyberpunk 2077, if I start the campaign on my PS4 and then get a PS5 and then move over to PS5 and play it on there, that I don't know whether it's 5-10 hours, however far I'm into the game, I'm going to assume that save file is going to be there. Yeah, it's either a case that they haven't said that career mode save is going to move over, or it's not going to, but I just find it interesting that in this particular press release, if you want to call it that, they mention that your Ultimate Team progress will carry over and not career mode. Very interesting. Whether or not that's because this is online stuff, and I don't know. I just think that the whole thing should move over. All you're doing is playing it on a slightly upgraded console or an upgraded console, so all of your progress for everything should really move over, whether or not it's created players or even a little tournament you've got on there or transfers that you've updated or something on the game. All of it should move over, so we'll see how that works out. But yeah, speaking of the crossplay stuff, there's no real excuse for that. You should be able to, I mean, if you can play Fortnite on Switch, PC, Xbox, PlayStation, not mobiles at the moment, but all those platforms, and specifically between Switch, which is Nintendo's online thing, and PC, why can't you do this? Why can't you do that with FIFA? It's really, really strange. Some people in the comments were saying about because the PS4 will be a bit slower and the other player will have to wait. Well, that's kind of down to servers really, as well as the system's performance. But it's not like, I mean, how slow is FIFA 21 going to load on Xbox One and PS4? I don't really understand why that is. So your save file stuff for Ultimate Team and potentially career mode and whatever else can move over, but you can't cross-play with updated users. This could simply be a case where, because the game isn't quite out yet, I think it's out fairly soon, but it could be a situation where they receive too much backlash for this and then they maybe change their minds and then they get players to celebrate the fact of that. But again, we will see how it works out. So that is that. That's all the news I do actually have this week. Those are the three things I could find. Just some updates for some stuff really, new Call of Duty, Last of Us 2 sales, FIFA 21's lack of crossplay as well, and then obviously some Ultimate Team stuff. Couldn't find anything else particularly, unless there was some stuff that I forgot. We don't have Robert's news to go through because of course he's not here, so we are going to move on to some emails for this week. So we're going to have a significantly shorter episode this week, but of course I don't have my co-host here with me this week, so we will just continue on with the emails. If you have any thoughts, feelings, questions, comments about video games or anything related to them, or anything related to Entertainment Talk, your thoughts, feelings, questions, comments, and maybe your concerns. We all have concerns about video games, I'm sure. Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, there's a contact page and information in your show notes. Brittany, disappointed to hear your impressions of the Avengers game. I think she was looking forward to it. What could be done to improve, and what developer would you have chosen instead? Interesting that you point that out as well, of course, because I did specifically say I'm just not sure why Crystal Dynamics was really chosen to do this, and Square Enix was chosen for this. And from day one when that was really said, I never really envisioned Crystal Dynamics to do an Avengers game necessarily. Could have turned out really great, could have turned out really good, and hey, some people are playing this beta and really, really enjoying it. I'm very happy for you. I'm very happy that you're enjoying your game more than what I enjoyed it. That's always good, What could have been done to improve it? I just think you got to fundamentally change the combat, really. It's just very generic and bland, and just, it's not something I expected to see. It's not a way I expected to see a game play and function in 2020. it really feels like a last gen game to me, where it's like, okay, sure, the graphics are kind of cool and that, and there's some interesting story parts, and you've got some interesting characters and that, obviously because it's, you know, the Avengers. But yeah, just like I remember just going through that Hulk section and just being really bored and just thinking like, okay, I'm gonna go through this. I want to keep continuing to go through it. And then I got to the part after with Miss Marvel and Hulk, and that's where I was like, okay, I'm done with this kind of thing. Because then I don't know, like like the only two characters that really worked to me were, I thought Miss Marvel was cool to play as. I thought that Iron Man was fairly cool to play as. One of my, this might be a little bit nitpicky, but one of my points of interest, you could say, for Iron Man is because you can kind of not float, you can kind of fly with him, but in a limited capacity because it's kind of still on rails a little bit. When you go to use L2 and do his aiming shooting thing with his blasters, he's using one hand and it makes him shoot really slow. And I know this might feel a little bit nitpicky, but if you've played the game, you might know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then you might not quite know where I'm going with this. But why didn't they make him fly with his feet and then shoot one after the other with his two hands? That would have just made that whole function so much better. Because I remember when I was shooting on it's the Golden Gate Bridge thing at the start. I remember when I was shooting with Iron Man, I was like, oh, he's only using one hand, and it's just a little bit too slow, and it kind of it slowed down the gameplay a little bit. And I just kind of thought, all right, if you're just swapping between his two hands, it might make that function a little bit quicker. It's things like that where it's like, okay, that you're just not really pushing what you can do with this game for the combat. And there's things like the Black Widow fight with with Taskmaster, which is kind of slow and generic and stuff, and it's just, yeah, it's I don't know, they just need to, I mean, they're out of time now unless they delay the game or something. I think it's not even like gameplay tweaks. I think you need to kind of fundamentally change parts of that game, I think. So, but it is what it is. I'm, not going to be playing it myself. I'm going to be checking out the story still to see where that goes, but that is pretty much that. Developer I would have chosen instead, I was thinking about this a little bit before I started recording. Developer I would have chosen, I mean, Insomniac. I know Insomniac's busy. They got Ratchet and Spider-Man, but Sucker Punch, they've done Infamous before. Rocksteady could have maybe done something like this. I'm not talking about developers that are available. I'm just talking about developers that I would have chosen and that could have made the game, and ones that have already proven themselves. Not saying that Crystal Dynamics haven't. They've done some good Tomb Raider games and that, but I'm talking about like with superhero games and things. But yeah, Rocksteady, Insomniac, Sucker Punch. There's quite a few different developers out there that I would have maybe chosen. So it is what it is. Samuel, if you could choose one reason you think Last of Us 2 stands out so much, what would that be? Interesting you ask that, because I've just spoken about combat. I think it's, there's a lot of things that stand out to me for Last of Us 2. Most of the game, to be honest. The story, the ambition of it, the gameplay, the ambition with the story and stuff, the characters, the new characters are really good. But you're asking me to choose only one thing, and I like more than one thing about the game that stands out. But what stands out to me potentially the most is the innovations of the gameplay. The enemy call-outs, the way that the different weapons feel to use, the animations with all those weapons and stuff. Sorry about that. The innovations with the gameplay. I think, the enemy call-outs, the way that certain weapons work, the way that enemies physically respond to certain weapons, like if you shoot an enemy's leg, or if because you can kind of do a thing to where like you shoot an enemy in the leg and then you can kind of like execute them. How smart the AI kind of is, when you've got a companion with you, whether or not it's Joel or Dina or whoever else, or if you're on your own as Ellie, there's obviously different sections to the game, how those kind of respond, and Ellie's reactions to things, and there's just so much that goes into that gameplay. And I think about I was talking about Avengers not feeling like a game from 2020. When I think about Last of Us Part 1, which is still a very, very, very good video game, excellent video game, when I look at the gameplay, because I'm talking about obviously the gameplay here for Last of Us Part 2 being one of its best things, and you've asked me to choose one thing, and then I think of Avengers, and I kind of think like the 2020 Avengers game is more in line with some of the mechanics, like innovation wise, towards Last of Us Part 2, where it should in terms of Last of Us 1. Whereas I look at the differences between how Last of Us 2's evolved its gameplay from the first one. You think about some of the more basic things you could do. There was no things like enemy callouts. I don't remember being able to like specifically hurt enemies in certain places. The gameplay was just a little bit more basic. It was still very, very good in that, and there was still some good mechanics. But yeah, I just think about the things they added to the second game and how it's kind of evolved itself. Because I remember when some of the gameplay stuff started coming out and we were doing the podcast for them, and one of the things I talked about is this looks like, gameplay-wise specifically, this looks like an evolved version of the first game, and that's what you've got to do. And when I look at things like Avengers, and obviously it doesn't have a sequel to evolve from, because Last of Us 2 does, it needs to make itself evolve from the first game, which it does, and this isn't the sequel to an Avengers game, because this is the first one, at least in its new like line or whatever, so it doesn't have anything to evolve from, but it needed to look at maybe other games that have come out. I mean, you look at things like Red Dead Redemption 2, the encounters you can have, and obviously you can't really do the same things with it. Your enemy interactions in Avengers are a lot different to the ones in Last of Us, but I look at like the combat specifically with Avengers, and it's got like, your basic kind of things like power up meters, and enemies got these health bars, and your attacks are very kind of basic unless you're doing a special attack, which even some of those are kind of basic. So yeah, when I just look at, even because Red Dead 2 was what, 2018? When I look at things like Red Dead 2, Last of Us 2, even things like God of War, which had previous games to evolve from, I just think that Crystal Dynamics should have looked at what some other games did and tried to evolve itself a little bit more to where it feels like a game that came out in 2020, and it just doesn't really do that to me. So, some games you like, some games you don't, so it is what it is, but nonetheless, that's the situation. So, but yes, to actually answer your question, which I think I've done, yeah, I think the gameplay is the biggest improvement, or the biggest thing that stands out to me for the second Last of Us, and I appreciate that question very much. It's very, very cool. If you have any thoughts, feelings, questions, comments about video games, or anything related to Entertainment Talk, Matthew at entertainmenttalk.org, Twitter eTalkUK, there's a contact page, and information in your show notes. I mean, you've got other examples as well, right, of like, not necessarily from a previous game, but you look at something like Cyberpunk, and obviously, CD Projekt Red just got done with the Witcher series. There was rumours of a fourth game, but not at the moment. Obviously, they're working on Cyberpunk at the moment. I think they've looked at like, okay, how can we just do things differently? Because there's been a lot of sci-fi games and stuff like that. And like I kind of pointed out last week to Robert, with some of the weapons, feeding back into combat, and that looks like it's got evolved and has some fresh new ideas, and you've got these arms that can come out your blade, arms that can come out your blades that can come out your arm, and like missiles and these guns that kind of shoot around corners and things like that. That's some of the stuff that Avengers just hasn't really done. So anyway, I think I've made my point, so there we go. That is unfortunately all we do have for this week's episode of Random Gaming Talk. I'm sure Robert will be back with me next week, like I said, but in the meantime, you can find everything that we've done on entertainmenttalk.org. If you'd like to support the podcast and Entertainment Talk, that will be really, really helpful, really, really cool. We are on Patreon. You can have a look at the $1 and $3 level tiers for review, ad-free podcast, and instant podcast options as well. Amazon affiliate link, we do have one of those. You can use that. We can get a small cut of what you spend. It won't cost you extra. iTunes feeds, we are on iTunes. You can rate, review, and subscribe to us on there. David is also on iTunes through Geektown for your up-to-date, reliable TV and film news, so have a look out for that. Either on geektown.co.uk, just check that regularly, or you can listen to Geektown Radio on Tuesdays, or do both. Geektown on iTunes, geektown.co.uk, go and check it all out. Bex is streaming daily on Twitch. She is on Trista Bytes, Trista, B-Y-T-E-S. Go and search for her on Twitch and get subscribed to her, follow her, whatever you do these days on Twitch. Just follow her on there. That would be really, really cool. Some gaming stuff, some geeky chatter, all that fun stuff as well. Barry is doing horror podcasts still over on Talk and Stalk. If you search for Talk and Stalk on YouTube, you should be able to find that. He talked about Scream last week, I think, and is doing some more horror podcasts soon as well. You can use word of mouth. Simply tell people that you know about the website and your iTunes feeds. Social media, share them on Facebook and Twitter, and if you can, in different Facebook groups. What's the other thing? Twitch, I'm streaming on there sometimes as well. Ghost of Tsushima, maybe some Iron Man stuff, maybe some Call of Duty. I've mentioned the different games I'm playing, so look out for some of those. Let's Play Sundays is on a bit of a hiatus at the moment, but it'll be back soon, so look out for that. And I think that's everything. Thank you all very much for listening, and we'll be back next week. Goodbye.